Time for another dog food review, guys. Today we got Value Pack 30 20. 20% fat, 30% dog food. Adult, athletes, and puppies. Because you don't want to get this to no lazy dog because it's high in protein and it is high in fat. It has cleated minerals. The minerals, these are vitamins that are connected to amino acids that way that they're more absorbable than the regular vitamins that you get that are not that absorbable. Next, you got a natural source of glucosamine and chondroitin. That's good for hip development, hip protection, joint protection, and joint development. So, without further ado, let's get into the ingredients. Chicken byproduct meal, high in protein, source of glucosamine. You got ground whole corn. When it's ground whole corn, you know they use that corn as an ingredient and it wasn't like some byproduct or something left over. Mixed with tocopherols, which I believe is beef fat or vitamin E. Ground whole soft wheat. So they use the wheat that is more so less, has less protein in it. So it's less gluten in it. It's more easy for it to break down. Then you got dried beet pulp, which supposedly has a little bit of a low sugar index to give the low sugar. Really, it's a filler. Then you got rice bran. Rice bran is the part of the rice that contains the vitamins and the minerals, and I believe some protein, but I know it has the vitamins and minerals. You got corn gluten meal, which is um, a high protein form of corn. It's a byproduct of like whatever they do to the corn to press it out and take the sugars out or whatever they do to the corn. It's just high in protein corn. Then next you got flax, you got flaxseed meal, which is high in omega threes, and also which is good for the skin and coat. And you got pork meal. I'm sorry, pork meal comes after the whole grain wheat. So next, let's just get into the calories. The calories are 93 calories per cup. Very high in calories, but there's lots of carbohydrates that are in these calories. Um, Not quite sure 100% how the dogs really deal with these calories, if they turn them into fat or if they just use them for energy. But I'm assuming they're like humans in a way, so they're gonna turn these calories into fat. But you got to keep them working out. You got to keep them exercising. And you got chondroitin 300 milligrams, and you got glucosamine 300 milligrams. Now, and I believe that the chondroitin and the glucosamine come from the chicken and the pork because I don't see it added. I don't see it added um, at all. So let's get into feeding. So we have dogs that are about close to 100 pounds, and it says 3 to 4.5 cups. So we can feed about 3 to 4 cups a day, or try to reduce it from here to here, here to there. Why are we using Value Pack 30/20? Basically, we have dogs, male dogs that are puppies. We're trying to make sure we didn't put a lot of size on them too fast because we want to make sure that they have good hip and joints. But in doing so, it's like so much of a calculation for me that it's getting out of hand. I can't really calculate it. Next, when dogs go in the heat, the male dogs don't want to eat. And also the female dogs don't really eat when they go in the heat. So we got to make sure we make our dogs as big as possible. Not as possible, but when I feel like they're getting a little bit too out of touch, we will have to reduce the food. But right now, we're just going to go full throttle with it. And two, when we have female dogs that are pregnant, um, we want to make sure that their milk is going to be much more potent than it was before. and we just want to make sure our puppies are much larger than they were before. Uh, a lot of our puppies were, athletically built. A lot of our females, had to produce milk, and it was a lot of strain on their body, and one of them really didn't produce that much milk. So we can't rule out the fact that we weren't giving puppy food. We were not giving puppy food really. So now we're gonna give this puppy food. It comes with the hip and the joint supplements. So it's one less step for us to add the hip and the joint supplements. And we gave it to our puppies, and they swelling up. They big and they got a lot of size. We got a male that we thinking is gonna be about a 130, 140 pounds. So we just gonna let the dogs eat, man, and we'll deal with the heat however we gotta deal with it, because also we have to make a statement out here that our dogs are the biggest and the baddest. And unfortunately, a lot of people just want the biggest and the baddest dogs. That's not a lot of everybody. It's all about how big and how bad that dog is. So it's time to take the gloves off and let our dogs eat and get to their maximum size, guys. We'll deal with the heat, however we got to deal with it. We're just gonna let them get as big as they can get, and then, if we see any pudginess or too much fat, then we will reduce it. Because my one of my theories is that trying to regulate how much food they get is holding them back, because you never know. They might look good on the outside and they might need more nutrition, because maybe the outside is just good because it's good nutrition, but maybe their muscles need more because they're showing more hunger. So we just letting them eat. We letting them eat. We letting the puppies eat. The gloves are off, and we're using this. This is 500 calories per cup. So you think if you get 4 cups of this a day, you're going to be guaranteed, because the dog got 2,000 calories a day. And I believe that the dog needs 2,000 calories a day is what's recommended, from all my scientific expectations. We found a store that we're getting this from. So a lot of people down south can get this. And there's two places that you can get this from, and we know where both places are. And we're not telling nobody. I'm not telling you where it is unless you purchase a puppy for me. Then I'll tell you where the food is so you can find it. But this is what we're gonna keep them on from here on out. And I preached about the high proteins and the skin issues. Well, we got the dehumidifier. We keep the dogs dry, and everybody's looking really good. So if we experience any situations due to the high protein, then we'll just reduce the amount of food that a dog is getting. But at this point, guys, we had to bring out the big guns, guys. So I give this food a grading A because of just the chondroitin and the glucosamine and the protein. I mean, you're not going to really find a food like this, and it's 50-pound bag. So it's not like you guys go out and get that Victor for $70 for 40 pounds. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what I paid for this because it's a secret. But I'm just telling you, man, I'm just reviewing the food and what it got ingredients. It only has 2 forms of meat, and it has lots of grain in it. You know, a lot of people I know are using dog chow. I mean, 95% of people end up using dog chow. So this is definitely higher protein and higher calories. So our dogs are going to have the benefit of both of those, and we're going to see how they react. And if it's a bad thing, you'll hear me talking about it. If it's a good thing, you'll hear me talking about it. Thanks, guys.